In the world of chronic illness, we've all been there. A stack of normal test results in one hand, and a body that feels like it's breaking in the other. When the medical system stops looking, the case goes cold. But what if you had a map to the answers traditional labs missed? Welcome to the Chronic Brew. I'm your host, Mr. Cool Beans, and today we're opening up the files with a true specialist in the unexplained. Beth Mielbrecht is a health detective. She isn't a medical doctor or a primary care provider. She is a master of investigation who uses digital muscle testing to find the hidden imbalances that are keeping you stuck. Now, before we pour the brew, a quick word for our community. Today's conversation is a deep dive into the health coaching and bio-individual investigation. While Beth is an expert in her field, her insights are for educational purposes and do not replace the advice of your licensed medical team. We aren't here to give you a prescription, we're here to give you a perspective and the tools to finally start listening to what your body is trying to say. So, if you're tired of the guessing game and ready for the exact answers, settle in. The investigation starts now.
I didn't have the strength that I have now. That's when you really need people.
People who could understand.
It really did make a difference.
So finding that community, finding that tribe.
Or in that realm of chronic illness and stuff.
I barely go through it because I'd be so focused.
Never thought in a million years that would have to happen to me.
All those emotions are valid. Every last one of them.
I was at a low point.
Just kind of removing the stigma.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Chronic Brew. And we are live. I'm sitting here across from the health detective herself, Beth. I've been looking forward to this one because our community is constantly looking for that missing piece to their health puzzle. Thank you for being on the Chronic Brew today.
I'm so happy to be here. This is fantastic.
Before we get into the files, how are you today? How is the detective life treating you?
Detective life is good. Solving cases, helping people figure out what's behind the issues that make them cranky and miserable. It just brings me joy. So I'm doing well.
I love that. Well, look, on this show, we don't start any investigation on an empty cup. We always kick things off with our new signature segment called The First Sip. But today we're doing things with a little twist, okay? I'm going to give you some common scenarios our spoony listeners face every single day. You tell me, from your perspective as a practitioner, if it tastes sweet or bitter. And give us a quick why in the last scenario. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's get into it. A client feels terrible, but their blood work says they are perfectly fine. Sweet or bitter?
Bitter. Your body knows.
Bitter. All right, next one. Let's go. A person just knows a specific food or habit is the culprit, even if no one else believes them. Sweet or bitter?
Sweet. You are trusting your body.
Absolutely. All right, the next one. Watching a client finally stop blaming themselves and start trusting their body again. Sweet or bitter?
Sweet. That is so sweet. It's beautiful when that happens.
Awesome. This one I'm going to switch up a little bit, okay? Seeing someone move from a broken identity to a healing identity. Sweet or bitter?
Move from a broken to a healing identity is so sweet when you realize your body wants to heal. That is the position of strength.
Awesome. And this last one right here. Having to tell a client that healing is a journey of layers, not a 1 week fix. Is that sweet or bitter? Can that be sweet or bitter?
It's sweet for me, and it might sound bitter to the person who's receiving that news. But it is sweet to know that your body can do it. You have to give it time. It's every day, not a quick fix.
Absolutely. I love those takes. You know, it's clear. It's clear to me that you've seen both sides of the coin when it comes to chronic illnesses and people who are just struggling with their health. But now I want to get into the files. You know, our community, the chronic illness community, is tired of the cold cases. You know, we experience that so much in our health journey. So let's start the investigation, shall we?
Let's go.
Every detective has a first case that changed how they see the world. What was the mystery that made you realize traditional health answers weren't enough for the people you wanted to serve?
That one defining case was a woman who came to me and she was very overweight and said, I think I just need to lose weight. That's why all of this is happening. But she said, I wake up with numb hands. Every morning, my hands are numb. I can't breathe, so I wear one of those breathing machines at night. Now I can't walk up and down the stairs. My joints hurt. And she used to like to go to a Zumba dance class. And now it's like, that's out of the question. I can't do that anymore. Is that it? I just have to lose weight? What is going on? And when I worked with her, we found that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And her body was storing toxic metals, PCBs, other chemical things in her fat. So she wasn't really able to just go on a diet and lose the weight because that's where the toxins were. And when you metabolize fat, that ends up going in your bloodstream, and your body is saying, hey, no, don't put in that in my bloodstream. We got to make sure it's protected from your brain and your heart and your lungs. So we'll just store it in this fat. So, and there were also problems in the parts of her that hurt. So yes, weight is always a contributing factor, but it's so easy to say, oh, it's just one thing. And it's never one thing. She had a whole traffic jam of things happening. And one of them was also her emotions, a lot of deep emotions. We worked together. I use homeopathy. I use bioenergetic testing. I use all my tools. She did not make one change in her diet or her exercise. But one day she sent me a text and said, I woke up and my hands weren't numb. What did you do? I said, I didn't do anything. Your body did it. And then a few days later, she said, I just walked up the stairs. Nothing hurt. What did you do? I said, I didn't do anything. Your body is doing it. And again, she did not lose any weight. She didn't change her diet. She didn't change her exercise. Those things were too far. Like that was a lot of work and she couldn't do that. And once we started working on how getting her insides of her body processing and working together, she sent me a text and said, I don't know why I'm sitting on this couch. I can't stand watching this television anymore. I'm getting up. I'm going to Zumba class. She went to dance class. And I have to tell you, about 4 months later, she said, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm moving. Now you can talk to me about food. But she was not ready to, like, what people would say is, you're overweight. You got to just lose some weight. There was emotional work. There was toxins. There was like her body wasn't functioning well on the inside, which is part of the work I do. Everybody's different. Maybe somebody else you can tell them, hey, go on a diet and lose some weight and then you'll feel better. Not everybody responds that way. And with chronic illness, when she was definitely heading that way, she's pre-diabetic and many things, not everybody responds to conventional good wishes of drink more water and exercise more. It doesn't work the same way when something isn't working right in your body. So that really made an impression on me. And from that, I knew there's more people who want to know how to make their body work better on a personal basis. We're tired of Instagram health therapy. We need it to be precise for you.
Yeah, that definitely goes along the same vein as understanding that our body carries its own fingerprint. You know, everyone's mechanics is different. While some things might work for others, it definitely won't work for every single person. But then that leads into the next question, just being very intuitive. I know you talked about specifically working with intuitive people. Why do you think people with chronic symptoms often feel more in tune with their bodies than the average person? And why is that intuition a health detective's best friend?
So intuition is kind of like a buzzy word. You might think of a lady in a yoga outfit on the beach doing, dancing. It's not. It is our natural ability to know and sense. It's that sixth sense. It is that internal sense, and that's that sense around us. So there's nothing special about the word intuition. Men and women are intuitive. It's not just a women thing. So I'm intuitive because I've always felt how my body feels. Like if I eat something that I don't like, I can feel it immediately. Or if I get a bad sense about something, I feel it right in my gut. And I've always noticed that. I thought everyone noticed that. Well, you can. It's just that we've trained ourselves to shut those feelings down and not notice them anymore. So the women I work with, predominantly women, there are some men, women and men, they're all intuitive because they are trusting their bodies and they know that the information they're getting from their team of experts is not quite lining up. That their experts are expert in the one special thing, but they're missing something. And they are intuitive because they keep searching and they don't say, well, I've got a team of 3 experts and this is what they say, so I guess I'll just do it, even though I know that doesn't feel right. As soon as you go against what you have, that feeling, you're going against your intuition. So plenty of people just do that. And they go through the traditional system. They don't ask questions. They just do what they're told. Intuitive people, men and women, question that. And gosh, you got to ask questions if you're willing to talk to a health detective or you're willing to talk to somebody else to get information about what am I missing because something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, advocacy. We always talk about, recognizing the signs and symptoms and being a pro advocate for yourself, especially when again, you're reading labs that say normal all the time. For a listener who has been poked and prodded by every needle in the book, explain that digital muscle testing. How does it allow you to talk to the body's system without being super invasive?
Right. Okay. So first, I want you to know that you are not a meat suit. You are not a bunch of bones and muscles with a brain and a heart, and somehow you're not a science experiment. You are not a car. It's like a car analogy. You don't have an engine and some tires and a belt or a chain, or maybe, to keep everything running. Your food isn't fuel. That's just the wrong analogy. You're actually a battery. You have voltage. There's voltage potential between every cell that makes everything happen. There's electrical signals that you can measure with in testing procedures on your heart, in your brain. You can measure those brain waves. You can do magnetic resonance and imaging, MRIs, and use electromagnetic frequencies to see inside your body. You are electric. And when you have electricity, you have electromagnetism. So you have both. So our body, it might sound like, middle school biology, that we have a chemical reaction and then there's another hormone and then that goes through the blood and quick. And now it's like, okay, now pick up your foot and take a step. Okay, we stepped on something sharp, send a signal, boop, 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 all the way back to the brain. No, biochemical reactions are happening, but how does it happen so fast? Because we're electric. Those signals are moving so fast because we are electric beings. So you're an electric being, which means everything in your body is communicating electrically. And not only does your heart have electric signals and your brain have electric signals, but all of your organs have electric signals. And it is very easy for people just with their hands in all cultures to be able to put their hand over you and say, hey, this doesn't feel right. They can feel the sluggishness and stuckness. That's all hands-on healing. And they can say, hey, we gotta work on this energy. And they're trying to get the energy flowing in that area again. So that's hands-on healing. And then there's traditional Chinese medicine, which has well documented the pathways, the highways of electricity that run through your body. So we've got these highways of energy that are running. They're called the meridians, and there's specific points. Those points tie into other things. If you have acupressure or acupuncture and you touch or massage or put a needle in one of those points, there is an unblockage. You're releasing the traffic jam of energy and you're allowing more blood and oxygen to get there. So what bioenergetic testing does is it skips the hands-on part. It skips the acupuncture needles and it says, well, what if I just ask you the question electrically? And I bypass your thinking brain because your brain doesn't know how you know how your kidney is doing, but your
Right.
brain doesn't know how your spleen is doing or how your lungs are doing, or do you need more zinc? Do you need boron? Do you need copper? Do you need magnesium? Your thinking brain has no idea.
Right.
But your body that's running the show, the communication system, gosh, that knows. So I send electric questions and I have lab grade equipment and I get back in response answers. And so I can find out, is this in balance or is that not in balance? So it's the same thing as using equipment to measure the electricity. When you measure the electricity, you're just measuring. You're just saying, hey, what's the pattern? What's happening? When I'm asking questions, your body has an innate intelligence that can show, like, wow, this level is really low. Yes, I need more voltage. I need more energy here. okay, well, what would help you? Let's find out. So that's one thing that we never know is we don't need a list of problems. We need to know, what do you need to come back into balance? So then I'll ask some more questions electrically, just through the ether to your body. What do you need? And then I'll find out. And then usually that is creating a custom homeopathic remedy, because so it ties together all of my specialties. But that's how you can find out information at the energetic level, at the communication level, without needles, without blood draws, without testing like that. And those things are good. And, it's great to get your blood drawn and get to know where you are. There are certain markers, but those are lagging indicators. So first, the shift happens electrically. Something's out of balance. And if it stays out of balance, then it shifts then your blood and your urine, they show the imbalance. So then when you get those tests that look at blood or look at urine, you're going to see metabolites of things breaking down that your body's struggling with. And those come after the fact. So it's still good to know that. But once you get those results, what are you going to do with them? You need to make changes upstream with your lifestyle. Yeah. And so testing is great. You just have to know where it fits in the big scheme of how your body works.
Right. And I feel like for a lot of us, that's where the buck stops. Or for those who aren't really prepared to research and look into what does this mean or ask those types of questions. We get the lab results and, some things are green and then the majority of the things are red. And then we're just like, well, doc, what do we do? And then we'll get the suggestion of maybe drink more water, maybe this, maybe that. But then there is that deeper component where something else is really happening under the surface. With that, in your experience, what are the top 2 or 3 things that are usually hiding in the blind spots of standard medical testing?
So you get those blood results and things are in the red. You don't know why. Maybe something is like, hey, you're low in vitamin D, so you could take some of that. Maybe not. Maybe your body maybe you got plenty of it. Your body just doesn't know how to metabolize it and use it. You don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a lot of reasons, but what I find is that there are a few different things. One is nutrient deficiencies. So sometimes people are not eating great food. And so this is a wake-up call. Eat real food. Cook at home. Eat real food. Sometimes they are eating real food, but their body is not digesting it. They have low stomach acid. They have a poor assimilation system. Their small intestine is not getting all those nutrients out and getting it to the places where it needs to go. So when you have gut disorders, you're not able to use all of the great things that are in the food that you are eating. Right. So that's about nutrients. The other thing is environmental toxins. There's heavy metals, there's plastics, there's, all kinds of things that we don't live in a perfect world anymore. We've got not the best quality air and water sometimes. Sometimes we're exposed to things that, what are we going to do? And so our body does the best it can. And that means taking it and either trying to process it through the liver. If that doesn't happen, put it someplace else where we can just store it away until we know what to do with it and we have the resources. So there's environmental toxins. It can be everything from exhaust and pesticides and insecticides and too much, all kinds of stuff that are just daily things in our life. And there they are, and our body's trying to deal with it. And it just gets to a tipping point. Some people are fine. They can deal with a whole lot of it because they have big reserves. Others are more susceptible. And so just a little bit and poof, they're over the edge. Then the other thing is emotions. So we've got our current emotional state. And you know that when you're stressed about something, maybe you get it. Your neck hurts. Maybe your stomach hurts. Maybe all of a sudden your lower back hurts and you're trying to bend down to pick up your child and you can't because whoa, my lower, and that never happens. Well, you didn't, it's just your body is going to go to an area of, the emotion is going to an area of weakness. So we've got our current stress levels and our current way of dealing with the world. And we've got stuff from long ago that maybe we were children, maybe there's just things that happen and we don't know how to deal with it. And life moves so fast that maybe we just kind of put it aside and like, okay, we'll deal with that later. And so those things are in there too. They're usually like tucked around your heart, like, oh, I'm not telling anyone about this. And those things also contribute to our state of mind. I mean, you've seen people and you're like, oh, don't worry about him. He's just always cranky. Does he know he's cranky? No, he's just carrying it around with him. Or you know a woman and she is just always puts everyone first. Oh, no, you go first. Oh, let me do that for you. Always like no boundaries, just always doing for everyone else. Yeah, she doesn't even know she's doing it. She just thinks it's the way of life. But at some point, that's going to catch up and it'll manifest as something physical in her body because she's already experiencing the emotion and not dealing with it, even if you can see it. So the emotions are there. So nutrients, environmental toxins, and emotions are usually what I find underlying. And most of the time, I mean, you can do a heavy metal test. You can do things like that. It's not always clear on that they are behind there and what organs are sluggish and not working well until they're medically catastrophic. Like our organs send signals early on saying, help, I'm struggling, well before any blood test says, oh, we're in trouble here. We need serious help. And the traditional approach is fantastic for that. They will rescue you. But how can we help ourselves before we need rescuing?
Yeah. Prevention is always better than cure. You brought up a good point with the emotions aspect. And I know for myself, with everything that has transpired with me on the kidney disease aspect, there's a lot of medical trauma there. There's a lot of stressors that I feel like I've compiled and even compartmentalized to my detriment. While I may be, smiling and cracking jokes and living it up, if you will, I'm wondering how much of those stressors might impact me further in the future if not properly processed. So with identifying the emotional pieces, how important would you say is mental health and self-care and maybe even therapy play into the whole role of overall health?
Emotions contribute to the physical symptoms of over 90% of my clients. It's very important. You cannot ignore it. So you might be doing great in all the other categories, and you've got these fears, this medical, like you never know what's going to happen at this next, you don't want to drive to this one place because you have these. If you are thinking those things, it's time to process it sooner rather than later. You don't need to wait 20 years. You can do it now. And there's so many ways to do it. So many ways to do it. And you pick somebody in your community if you want to go in person to see someone. Some people like talk therapy, others don't. You don't have to talk about it. You can remove emotions with tuning forks. You can remove emotions with dancing and shaking. You can shake your body and like just move your body. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do things. You will know what's right for you. I mean, I'm on a podcast, so I am talking, but talk therapy is not for me. I do not want to retell my story.
Really?
Some people want to retell their entire story. And that's how they will process it. And that's when they get it out with a trusted therapist, it will feel good to them. But you don't have to do that. You can get it out in nonverbal ways as well. Thank goodness there are so many ways. Yes, don't let it pack up too much because
it will come out.
It will come out.
Yeah. One key point or theme that I keep hearing within our conversation is driving. And I know you're a big fan of the Google Maps concept and the framework of that. For someone who is currently lost in the depths of the woods, how does your Google Maps approach help them see the path forward when they've only seen dead ends and they've seen that for years?
Well, what I do is ask your body questions. And so I can give you answers that are bioenergetic testing provides more specific about what is troubling you and also what you need to be in balance. So it's not just problems, it's also the solutions, the balancing part of it. So if you've been facing a lot of dead ends, don't give up. Look at your team. Who is on your team? And you might find, for example, many nutritionists and chiropractors are also trained in muscle testing. So regular in-person muscle testing. And if you find one of those people, they're wonderful. You'll probably hold out your arm and they will try and ask questions out loud and press on your arm to see if they're getting a response. So that is one way of doing it in person. And it's an introduction to what I do, which is with the advances in electrical engineering and digital technology and modern physics, I do it remotely with equipment and using computer software so I can ask lots of questions and capture all those responses. There is a way to find out why you don't feel well, even though you're getting a dead end. So you can explore someone in your community. You can keep finding someone to be on your team who can help you this way. If that doesn't serve you right now, these are my 3 steps. 1 is good food, only good food in. 2, keep the bad food out. If you're not feeling well, stop the coffee, stop the alcohol, stop the vaping, anything with I call it funky oils, and anything that's like in an oil that is questionable, just keep that out. What do you want? Do you want the pain or do you want the French fries? So that stuff out. And the third thing, which is not talked about that much, is focus on your elimination and your cleansing. So when I mean cleansing, I don't mean do a detox with some kit of supplements that you take for 2 weeks and then you're done. No, I mean every day, bitter herbs to help your digestion. When it becomes springtime, make sure you have some dandelion and some those bitter greens. You don't need a lot of them, but that helps with digestion. Are you sweating? Things come out through your skin. You need to sweat. If you can sweat every day, a lot, it's great. Sauna, or if you're in a hot place, sweat. The other thing is movement and moving those lymph nodes. So you have an internal cleansing system, but if you're sedentary, you are not activating that internal cleansing system because that internal cleansing system has no pumps or muscles. That lymph is where all those lymph nodes are. If you feel like your throat is hurting underneath your jaw, you're going to feel lumps and bumps. Those are your lymph nodes swelling up to start filtering. They're doing their job. So there's a way of massaging gently every day all of your lymph nodes. So those 3 things will get you out of a dead end and turn a corner, because there's probably something that you're overlooking and you're thinking you can feel better while on the couch eating potatoes, and that's not going to happen. So you have to take some responsibility. And if you need accountability, then the next step is find somebody to add to your team. If you need to, find somebody in your town. That I guarantee there's someone in your town who can be helpful in seeing what's going on inside your body in a different way. Be somebody totally different than the traditional establishment, and you will learn something. And then you go and you look at other resources like the work I do and the work that many people in my field do. That's how you get on the road and you get back on the map to health.
Awesome. I love the concept of leaving no stone unturned, and even how your philosophy on how the body wants to heal itself. I know, and many other folks, we've been told, that our chronic conditions, for the most part, have no particular cure. Everything is kind of like it can stay steady until it hits that decline, but there is something that we can do in the middle of that gray area. And I know you believe that your body is always an ally for you. For a warrior, a chronic illness warrior who feels betrayed by their physical self. I'll be honest, a lot of times we feel like our bodies have now developed a mind of its own. How do you flip that script so they start listening instead of fighting?
It can be hard to hear. It can, and especially with all the treatments you've been through and all the appointments you've been through, that something is malfunctioning, something in your body just stopped working, and the responsibility is taken off of you. It's not your fault. That is a common message. And my message might be hard to hear, and it's that it might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. And so I contend that your body is always trying to heal. And every time you have symptoms, it's your body trying to do its best to protect you from something. And while there are nuances to this, and I don't mean to make a blanket statement, especially with children, and but people come into this world or now with just there's plastics and metals in our bodies that should not be there. And depending on early life medical treatments, you are bombarded by things that you might not know how to do. And so trust that your body is trying to heal. So you need to choose. It's often very difficult to choose between what should you do. But if you start with good food, keeping the bad food out, and always moving your body and keeping the elimination, making sure you're eliminating every day, you will be able to turn things around. The other thing is your mental and emotional state. How do you talk to yourself? Do you give yourself a label? Are you now the walking poster person for this condition? And are you the spokesperson for the healing and the health of that? Or are you the spokesperson for everything that goes wrong and life is terrible? So, Mr. Cool Beans, look at you. I mean, you definitely take the positive approach of this is what it looks like to be positive and live through adversity and show the world that, how vibrant you are despite navigating these incredible challenges. So I meet people all the time who tell me their name and then start listing off all of these labels that other people have put on them. And that's a weight. That is a real burden. And so I ask you once in a while, take that off. You don't have to carry that label, and you can say, this is who I am. And I'm also a father, a mother, a great maker. It's winter now in upstate New York. Great maker of soup, whatever you are, you're a barbecue or, you are someone who really finds joy in life. Because if you look for the problems and you're always trying to solve a problem, you'll just find more problems. So look for solutions. And then suddenly there'll be solutions jumping out at you.
Wow, Beth, I gotta be honest. I was almost brought to tears just now because you said something that was so profound. And again, talking about chronic illness, it's easy for us to just accept the identity of I am, MS, I am MCAS, I am CKD, I am diabetes, and to showcase this is my struggle. While there's a place for that for sure, especially on the social media aspect when we're advocating, I think what I love the most is taking what we have acquired as far as a diagnosis and showing the world that we can still thrive. Even the name chronic illness warrior or even CKD warrior, it denotes the fact that although we may have to go to dialysis or not, or we have surgeries or not, if we have to take 8 supplements just to manage our body's governing system or not, we still can have fun. We're still individuals. We're still people with, outlooks on life that are completely positive. And I think that's something a lot of folks who have these diagnoses who just want to hide behind the scenes are not necessarily advocates, because I know a lot of people who just kind of sit in the background and just kind of sulk in the woe is me's, and it's just to tell them like, hey, look, you can still live, you can still have a fulfilling life. Just the mindset has to shift a little bit. So I just want to thank you for that because that literally made me, swell up a little bit on the inside. That was really beautiful.
Hi, everybody. This is Little Miss Undiagnosed, and you're listening to the Chronic Brew podcast.
Wow, what a detective. Speaking of detective, all right, we're not done with you yet. So as a detective, a health detective, you don't just find the imbalances, okay? You provide custom remedies and one-on-one coaching, and I feel that coach energy from you, all right? Maybe you could have coached my football team in high school. Why is that human element, the coaching aspect, just as important as the data you find in the detective work?
It is really easy to look for a fix. So in the traditional system, there's a surgery, there's a medication, there's a prescription, there's something that's going to fix it. And then you could say, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to a holistic alternative. And I'm going to take the supplement and I'm going to go to the chiropractor every week and I'm going, so you might not have a surgery, but you still got all your wellness visits. They might feel different, but it's what you start leaning on something that I need this to feel better. I need this. And sometimes these things take a while. Yeah, I'm not knocking any of it, but there's a shift to what do you need for your body. And with the bioenergetic testing that finds the imbalances and also finds what you need to be in balance, I take all those energy signatures and create a custom homeopathic remedy. Many people are not familiar with homeopathy. It's been kind of erased in the United States, and it is a form of energy medicine. And anyway, if you ever go in a health food store, even a regular grocery store, you can find homeopathy, and people look for it there when they are looking for something alternative, usually for like when they feel they got the sniffles or they got a fever, or an ache or pain. But the most common one would be arnica. So most people know that if you got a bruise or a sore muscle, you can get a gel that has arnica in it. Arnica is a beautiful flower grown in Spain, and the medicine from that flower is harvested, and then it is prepared. So if it was just the flower leaves and the stems and the leaves, it would be an herbal remedy. But homeopathy takes the energy of that. And so there's a way of preparing it, of putting it in alcohol and then getting the energy, and then you shake it. And there's this process of getting the energy of a plant. And it can be done for a mineral, it could be done for all kinds of things. And that energy is actually what's in those little pellets if you ever took a homeopathic remedy, or in a tincture if you ever took one of those. So it's energy. So I create homeopathic remedies. But when I work with my clients and I say, this is what's out of balance, this is what's in balance, I found everything that you need to be in balance. These are all the energetic signatures, and I mail the remedy to them. And then I say, also, your copper's a little low. We need to look at how we're going to address that. I'd like to do it through food, or you could do a supplement, but I prefer food. And then we talk about that. If I just did that, I'm the same as everybody else. I'm saying, you're out of balance. I'm going to give you something. There you go. Just like the client at the first story at the beginning. Beth, what did you do? I didn't do anything. It's your body. So it's her body that asked for the specific things. I was just doing the office work. I was just doing the work to put it all together and give it to her. Her body used it. Her body said, this is what I need, and then put it in place. And that started affecting the change in her. And without coaching, without having someone on your team who you talk to on a regular basis, it's very easy to sit on the couch and eat potatoes instead of, I also need to move my body. I also need to, lymph came up as being stuck. I also need to rub my lymph nodes. I also need to set some boundaries. I also need to do something about the fear I have of my next doctor's appointment. I'm not a mental health professional, but I know when there's more than I can handle here. You need to find someone in your life who can help you with that, and go see someone. If you don't have someone in your life like a health coach, it's very easy to slip back into old ways. And now you have this bottle of homeopathic drops that is not the same, but it's in the same role as a bottle of supplements or as a prescription medication. I take this and it's supposed to make me feel better. Homeopathy doesn't work that way, but no, and it's your whole lifestyle. And that's what health coaching does. So sometimes people have great partners or a good friend who can hold that space. Other times, for a season, you need someone dedicated to help make that change.
Awesome. So, Beth, my question for you now is, are you ready for some espresso? As you take a sip, mid-sip, are you ready for some espresso?
Yes, go for it.
Great, because this is our espresso shot round, all right? The caffeine is hitting right now. 30 seconds or less, punchy answers only, no overthinking. Let's go for it. What's one health myth you wish you could delete from the internet?
That fat is bad. Fat is really good for you. Good fats.
All right. Next question. If medical guesswork were a cartoon villain, what would its secret weakness be? Go.
Medical secret cartoon villain. Oh my goodness.
10 seconds on the clock.
I am thinking of Wile E. Coyote and Bugs. That's what Roadrunner with Roadrunner.
Roadrunner. Yeah.
And the anvil, just like the weakness is like all of a sudden, medical diagnostics, you get an anvil on your head, like, bam, I did not see that coming. Now what? I don't know. I'm flattened. And you got to pick yourself up and figure it out.
All right. Last one. All right. Let's get ready for this one. What song plays in your head when a client finally gets their exact answer?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Absolutely. Oh man, Beth, before we close out, I just gotta say, you've given so much of an enlightenment as far as like reconsidering our body as it talks to us. I know the pain signals, like whether it's a flank pain because of a renal situation, or even if it's neuropathy. There are signals that our body sends us, but there's a way that the body whispers to us at the same time. And you've pretty much given us something to look at as far as like, how can I get ahead of the big pains happening? For the person who is listening and feels that their case has gone cold, what is the very first action they should take today to start asking and listening to their body again?
First thing is really creating a trigger to symptom map. And when you get that pain, get out a notebook. Like, really, you don't need to do this on your phone, people. Get out a notebook and a pen and say, okay, time, date, this hurt. And then write back what happened in the past 10 minutes, the past hour, the past 24 hours. Keep track of it. In a week, you'll be like, oh, I never saw that. This is what happens. After I go for a car ride, an hour later, this happens. In the moment, you just went for a car ride and you drove and then you didn't think anything of it. Now you're home and like, wait, I was just making a sandwich. Why do I have that pain now? And then you realize like, oh, something happens and only after car rides. So you got to write it down. And so write down what hurts, what you're noticing, mental, emotional, and then look back 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 24 hours.
Wow. I think you're recruiting a lot of us to become detectives ourselves.
Yes.
Should we put on trench coats and the little fedora hats too? Like, I mean, I'm down for it. I have that in my closet. So
I'm good with cool hats. Yeah, let's get cool hats.
Notebooks, pens, write it down and track it. All right, look for the clues and the fingerprints for whatever's going on with our bodies. Oh man, Beth, this has been an absolute masterclass in body advocacy. Thank you for bringing your Google Maps to the brew today. For everyone listening, for everyone listening who is ready to hire their own health detective, where can they find you and follow the investigation?
Well, the best way to find out more about me is to go to my website. It's yourhealthwithbeth.com. And I have a free quiz you can take. So you'll take a free, very quick 1-minute quiz. You'll get my insights by email and access to a private podcast.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Stop guessing and start listening. But before we close the files on today's episode, I have a small favor to ask you folks. We know that the chronic illness journey can be a lonely one. And there is someone out there right now scrolling through normal test results, feeling completely lost. If something Beth said today clicked with you, please share this episode with that one person who needs to hear that their body is still on their side. And if you've got a second or two while you finish your brew, head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, even YouTube, and leave us a review. This is the best way to help other Spoonies find this community and know that they're not alone in the dark. Don't forget to hit that follow button so you never miss another episode of The Brew. You can also find me on Instagram at MrCoolBeans2889 to join the conversation. We will see you next time. Beth, it's been great chopping it up with you. I thank you for your time. And stay caffeinated, people. Stay curious and keep brewing. Peace.